Welcome back to the channel. What? So, Back to the Future, the Back to the Future trilogy. This is going to be similar to what I did with Blade Runner. It's not a review of the films. I love the films. Everything on my channel. If I'm talking about something on this channel, it's because I like it. So, I first saw Back to the Future in 1985 in Carlisle, which is a city in the north of England, which is where I was living at the time. 85, I was 17. Yeah, 17 years old. And I wasn't expecting much from the film. I just thought it was. I saw it because it was a Steven Spielberg produced film, and I just loved everything that Steven Spielberg did. But I was absolutely blown away by the film. I was so surprised by it. And what I came away from that first viewing was, wow, what great music there was for the film. And I went out and I bought the soundtrack LP. And what a crushing disappointment that was. That's the LP that I bought. Not that the music on it was fine, the songs were fine, but there were only 2 tracks on it from the score. The Back to the Future Overture, which was I think the original end credit music, and a kind of an amalgamation, a kind of suite of music called Back to the Future, performed by the Out of Time Orchestra. It had The Power of Love on it, obviously Huey Lewis and some other bits and bobs, Johnny B. Good with Marty McFly. But for the longest time, and I think it was until 2008, we didn't have anything else. Those 2 tracks of the score, until this little beauty came out, this Entrada release. Now, I didn't get this when it was first released. I got it a few years later. It was fairly expensive, but not the kind of money that it makes now. It was still, I got it at a bargain. But this is the 2-disc version. So it includes the complete original motion picture soundtrack on disc 1, and then a slightly alternative version of the soundtrack on disc 2, and some extras. But to finally get that in 2008 was incredible. It's one of those things that you thought was never going to happen. But I was blown away by the score. It was just a large scale, old fashioned, just a wonderfully orchestral score. Big themes, just it was over the top. It somehow it sounded like it shouldn't go with the small scale movie that Back to the Future was, but it just gave it a kind of a scale that it needed, and just a sense of fun and adventure. So if you can get hold of the 2-disc one, just for that alternate version of the score, it's worth getting. But the full score is available on streaming and other things. And I was so chuffed to get that. I got the normal soundtrack on CD as well. So that was 1985. I saw the film again in the army. I did 2 weeks training in Gibraltar in April 1986. We didn't do a lot of training there, to tell you the truth. It was like a 2-week holiday, really. But I went. It must have been the only cinema in Gibraltar, because Gibraltar's just that big. But I saw Back to the Future again with a couple of pals. I think it was a big cinema, or big-ish for Gibraltar, and there were about 4 of us in there. But yeah, 86 I saw it again. Then had to wait until 89. At that point, Back to the Future was just a standalone film. It finished and that was it. But then Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3 came. Back to the Future 2 was at the tail end of 1989. Excited to go and see it. Now, it's not very well reviewed by some people, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really clever. Really frustrated when you get to the end and it says to be concluded, and you've got to wait. This time only about 6 or 7 months. But again, Silvestri score, was absolutely brilliant. That is the 2015 expanded version of the score, but I originally had it on this LP. Now this is probably one of the last LPs that I got, along with probably Batman and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. From 1990 onwards, it was all CDs. But yeah, I got that, and a bit later on, I got it on tape for some reason because it was easy to carry around. But yeah, darker score because it's a darker film, but a frustrating end. You've got to wait 6 months for the next part of it. Next part, Back to the Future Part 3, I saw in London in Leicester Square. And what a finish to the trilogy that was. It was just a joy from beginning to end. And Alan Silvestri using his old themes, but he came out with that new Western theme as well, which is just absolutely brilliant. Now, that's the original Varese CD that I bought. It's a bit worse for wear. I bought that at 58 Dean Street Records in London, on one of my frequent visits there in the early 90s. Good representation of the score. But again, 25 years later, 2015, the year of the future in Back to the Future, we got this wonderful Varese Deluxe Edition, two disc Deluxe Edition, which had the full score and extras and bits and bobs, but again, just wonderful, big, sprawling, old-fashioned, great music. I've had various copies of the film on different formats throughout the years. I've had it on video, DVD. I never had it on Laserdisc, even though I did have a Laserdisc player for about 6 years or so. I now have it on Blu-ray. I do need to upgrade to 4K because I've heard that the 4K is a really good upgrade from this. But it looks fine on this. This is the 30th anniversary version of it. Got some great extras on it. Some are okay. 2 audio commentaries. But it's the films. The films are still great. As a trilogy. Some people, as I say, were not fans of the middle one, Back to the Future 2, but I really like it. And as a 3-disc or 3-film series, it's fantastic. So between the films and the music, you can't go wrong with that. So yeah, that's my thoughts and feelings on Back to the Future. Not very long, but if you can get any version of these Alan Silvestri scores, try and get the expanded ones, but any version of his music is great, and he's still continuing to write great music today. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Back to the Future. There'll be more coming soon. Hopefully I'll get my Hollow Man disc this week. It's in the UK now, according to the tracking thing. But yeah, Back to the Future. If you haven't seen it, why not? That's it for now. Good day. Oh, by the way, here's a quick video of a rainbow I saw in Edinburgh a few days ago. It's quite pretty.